All right, we got some interesting polling information here from Abacus Data. I went over their federal poll that they released yesterday, but they always do a really good job of breaking things down in other ways too. For example, committed vote intention. So federally speaking, this is not news. 41% for the Conservatives, 29 for the Liberals, 14 for the NDP. So not too much of a surprise there. That's what the polling are saying from Abacus Data, which is much better news for the Conservatives than some of these other weird bias polls that have showed the Liberals actually winning. But when we go over here to committed vote intention, this is very interesting. So this is British Columbia, Ontario, and Atlantic Canada. Now, Ontario and Atlantic Canada are where Conservatives, especially in the prairie provinces, are very worried about how we're going to vote. Well, we're actually at 44%, which is great news because, as we saw last night, Doug Ford absolutely destroyed the left-wing politics, the politicians rather, in the Ontario election, winning 80 seats. I think there's like 120. He won like 65% of the seats. It was an absolute dismantling. And what they were saying, though, is that Pierre Poilievre doesn't have the same support. Well, that's true. Not federally. But in these three relatively liberal provinces, or left-wing provinces, they got 44% of the vote. That's great news. Yes, the Liberals have spiked up from 22% down to 31, but they probably weren't ever going to stay at 22%, especially with Justin Trudeau leaving and having them installing a new leader. They're going to have some fresh... or what they think is a fresh face who's somehow not an insider, even though he is. They think he's an outsider. He's not. But you're going to see a spike there. Now, this is going to drop. Right? It's going to go back down as soon as Pierre Poilievre absolutely embarrasses Mark Carney in a debate. But this is, for the three liberal provinces, this is really nice news. Now, it was at 51%. I expect it to get closer to that as time goes on. And then we over here we have committed vote intention by province, region. So this is every province specifically. British Columbia, 40%. 27% for the Liberals, 20% for the NDP. Alberta, the Saskatchewan, Manitoba, the Prairie provinces, it's a smoke show. They're going to get almost 60% of the vote. But in Ontario alone, 45%. That's great news. Liberals, yeah, they bounced back a little bit, but not nearly enough. Quebec, it's the only province where the Conservatives are losing. In fact, they're in third place. But it's Ontario, British Columbia, and Atlantic Canada. And again, Atlantic Canada is at 42% here. It's close, but it's good news for the Conservatives because we already know they're going to clean up out west. If they clean up out east too, they're not going to clean up as much, but they're going to do really, really, really well in Ontario. Not so much in Toronto. They'll do better than usual, but, again, everywhere outside of Toronto, or most places outside of Toronto, they're gonna win a lot of seats, guys. Most people in Ontario understand that the Liberals are terrible unless you live in Toronto. Or other big, like Mississauga, Hamilton. They're left wing, like they're big city people. That's what, generally speaking, that's what they are. Then we have federal vote intention by age. So 18 to 29, the younger people, 35%. Now again, there's more people who are young who are on the left, but the Liberal or the Conservatives are in first place. 30 to 44, it's not even close at 48% for the Conservatives. 45 to 59, a little bit of a drop at 42%, and 30% for the Liberals, and 60 and over is where the Liberals have their biggest support base. But the Conservatives are still at 40%. And yes, a lot of people are worried, well, what if the NDP goes over to the Liberals? They're going to start winning. That's not going to happen. It'll happen a little bit. I know people who are NDP supporters who have flat out told me they're going to vote Liberal. Okay. But they're not. It's not going to happen like in droves. It's not like you're going to get 50% of the NDP to leave. You might get 10 or 20%. Okay. Great. It makes it closer. But 10% of 21% is 2.1%. Okay, so 27% to 29.1% for the 18 to 29-year-olds. It's not enough. So, and also, the other thing, too, I wanted to mention, Doug Ford actually won the vote, the student vote, with 24%. Now, the Liberals and the NDP had like 23.9. It was very close, but Doug Ford only got 16% 3 years ago. Which shows you that the younger generations are coming up more conservative than they ever have. I don't know about before, like maybe they've done it before in history a long time ago, but it's very rare from what I've seen for 18 to 29-year-olds to go conservative. Okay, and if you're liberal, your biggest supporting base, if you're a liberal, is boomers. They're the oldest generation. So, you know, as it pertains to the future, it's looking bright if you're a conservative. Or if you're just anti-liberal, really, like I am. I agree way more with the conservatives. I just wouldn't necessarily call myself conservative. But if you're anti-liberal, if you're anti-Trudeau, anti-globalism, anti-elitism, this is good news. And yes, we have to make sure that Pierre Poilievre is also anti-globalism. We have to make sure that when he gets in office, we hold him accountable. But you can't criticize Pierre for that yet because he's not in office. Once he gets in office, we got to hold him accountable. Right now, we have one job, and that's getting the Liberals out of office, and hopefully the NDP and the Liberals, although the Liberals will keep party status, but the NDP might actually lose official party status. And even though Jagmeet Singh has his pension, and he probably doesn't give a shit, it would be funny to see. And well-deserved. So we'll see what happens, but the Abacus data information we're seeing is very, very, very good news right now. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you think Abacus is more of a credible polling firm, or do you think there's other polling firms that are more credible? Let me know what you think in the comments. Please don't be shy. Please also don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really helps grow the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back shortly with a new video.